Okay, thank you for coming. Sorry about the technical difficulties before, but as Chana just mentioned, last few weeks we were talking about Tzadik Viralo, Rosh V'Tovlo. Why do bad things happen sometimes to good people, and why do good things happen to bad people? So one thing is we've been talking just in general concepts. In general, what are some reasons why this would happen? But when it comes to why each person has a certain lot, that we don't know. When we're talking about why does one tzaddik live a life that is very easy, he's a righteous person, he does mitzvos all day, he learns Torah, and his life is very easy and very, very calm. He doesn't have any money troubles, his health is fine. Whereas you have another tzaddik who's just as holy, and he is not living such an easy life. So that we don't know why it happens to each person. We just discussed possible reasons of how Hashem how Hashem could make it. And this week we'll discuss a little bit about why there are people in different situations. Some people have very easy lives. Some people have tough lives. They have a lot of challenges. So we mentioned a mashal, a parable, a metaphor that Rav Dessler used to explain this concept of why people are different. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and everybody has different situations that they were placed in. So he writes that imagine that everyone in the country is coming to praise the king. So the first guy comes and says, the king is the most magnificent ruler in the land. So the king says, thank you very much. And the man who said it, he feels very proud of himself. He was able to praise the king in a very dignified way. And then the second guy comes and says, the king is the most magnificent person. And then the third person comes and says, the king is the most magnificent person. And they're all praising the king in exactly the same way. So the subsequent people, they don't feel so great. They just repeated what the person did in front of them. So Rav Dessler says so too. In our lives, when we serve Hashem, we're sanctifying God. When we overcome challenges and perform mitzvos and do what we're supposed to, we sanctify Hashem and we praise Hashem by doing so. And he says, if we all had the same challenges and the same situations in life, then we would just be repeating what was done before us. We would be doing the exact same thing, and it wouldn't be so unique. So in order that we all have a unique and special portion in praising Hashem and sanctifying Hashem's name, and that we can feel proud of what we're doing, and we can acquire the goodness for ourselves, Hashem gave us all unique situations, right? We're all born. No one's the same. Right? The Rambam says just like people's faces are all different, their deos, their makeup, let's say, is different. The situation they were born into was different. The time period that they were born into is different. So this gives us the opportunity that all of us can praise Hashem and sanctify Hashem in our own unique way. That means there is nobody else in human history that can accomplish the mission that you can accomplish, because only you were born in your specific location with your specific talents and your specific time and your specific circumstances. Even the greatest rabbi in the world couldn't do what you can do because he wasn't born in the same situation. And all of us are needed to make a tikkun in the world, to rectify the world in our own unique way. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, then the world is lacking in that specific area. So we all have a very specific way that we have to serve the king, and it's all different, and we all have a different way to serve the king. And obviously it's all within the framework of doing Torah and mitzvahs, but the way we do that is a little is different. But again, to know exactly why each person was given his challenges or her challenges and was, all those details, that is not known to us at this point. We would have to get into the mind of Hashem. And just something else I want to mention before we actually go inside, Rav Chaim Freelander quotes a line from Das Tfunos that's part of why it's a test in life, is that we don't know what portion Hashem chose for us. We don't know what our specific challenges are or why we were given certain challenges and put in a certain situation. Because if we knew exactly why and what our challenges were and what our tikkun was, then it wouldn't be a test for us. It wouldn't be a challenge. Being in this world means that it's a challenge. Life is a challenge. There are yetzer haras. There are things that try to get us to not do what's right and to not serve Hashem. And we earn a merit We become close to Hashem, and we are kona, our shlemus. Let's say we acquire perfection by overcoming those challenges and overcoming the Yetzer Hara. So if we knew what our specific mission was exactly and why we were put in that specific circumstances, it wouldn't be a challenge. Everything would be known to us. It says Im hayayodim lo haisa. I can't read my own writing figures, but he says it wouldn't be a challenge, so we wouldn't be able to be punished and rewarded for what we do, because we can only be rewarded and punished if we had free will. If someone doesn't have free will, then he can't be rewarded and punished. So we only have free will because we don't know exactly why Hashem put us in these certain situations. I believe I'm quoting that's Rav Chaim Friedlander. Okay, let's go inside. So if you have the name and edition, the edition that we use, we're on page 205, which is section 2, chapter 3, number 1. Hine, kfar higdamnu she'inyan avoda shenimser la'adam. We already mentioned that the topic of the service that was given over to man, tali b'mesh nivru ba'olam in yanei tov and yanei ra, depends on that Hashem created good and evil. V'husama adam einayhem livchor lo asatov, and God put human beings in between good and evil so that he should choose good. He or she should choose good. V'ulam prate in yanei tov rabim hem, but the details of good are many. There are many details. V'chein prate in yanei ra, also the many details of evil. He's going to explain, Ki alo kol midah tov v'mechlala tov. Every good attribute is good. V'hefech zeh kol midah ra, and every bad attribute is bad. What does he mean by that? Derech mashal. For example, hagaiva, haughtiness, echad minyanei hara, that is something which is bad. V'anova, humility, minyanei atov, that's something which is good. Harachmanis, mercy, minyanei atov, that's something good. V'havcha achzarius, and the opposite of that is cruelty. That's bad. Ha'istapkus v'hasimcha bechelko. Somebody's happy with his lot, what he has, and he's happy with a little. Minyanei atov, that's good. V'havcha minyanei ara, and the opposite of that is bad, right? What does the Mishnah say? Ezehu asher, who's the rich person? Somebody is happy with his lot. V'chein kol shar prati amidus, and so too, all of the details of all of the other traits. And he points out, Rabbi Naaman points out on the bottom, that even though gaiva, haughtiness, can actually have some positive attributes, that if a person, for example, serves Hashem proudly, that's a good thing. A person should be proud that he's a Jew and proud that he's a human being, that he's created. But since in general, most of the time, haughtiness is a bad thing, the Ramchal includes it in the bad character traits. In Slobodka, which is a famous yeshiva in Europe, which many of the yeshivas in America descended from, like Ner Yisrael, Lakewood, Hebron in Israel, they were very big on the kavod ha'adam, the honor of person. That was I wouldn't call the word haughtiness necessarily, but it was a certain stolz in Yiddish, I think the word is, like a certain dignity that a human being has. They used to wear very fancy suits and walked around with canes, and it was very important to them that they be dressed very appropriate. Why? Not because they thought they were better than everybody else, but because they were servants of Hashem. We're servants of Hashem, so we should be proud of that, and we should be dignified because of that. We're Jews. It's something very important, something that we should be very, very proud of. Okay, v'hinei, shiara chachma al yaina, kol pratei ha'inyanim mizeh hamin. Oh yeah, just there was a story. Someone, Rav Ruderman, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Ner Yisrael, and learned in this yeshiva Slobodka, he once asked a bacher, one of his students, to find his coat for him. And he found it, and I think there was another rabbi there. It might have been Rabbi Gifter, I'm not sure. But the student thought he found Rabbi Ruderman's coat. And this rabbi, he was brought it to him. He said, "That's not Rabbi Ruderman's coat." And he said, "How could you tell?" He said, "Oh, there's a little stain on it. Rabbi Ruderman would never wear a coat with a little stain on it." And the idea wasn't like he was like a fashionista. You know, Chas v'shalom, Rabbi Ruderman wasn't a fashionista, but since he was representing the Torah and it was such a dignified, important thing, he was very strict not to have the slightest stain on his coat. So for sure, he would not have. He looked immaculate. Okay, v'hinei shi'ar ha'chachma al yonah. So we have these good traits and these bad traits. Kol prata ha'ani mizeh hamin shuriyim limatzav v'lipol av sharusam b'chok ha'anoshis l'fi ha'tachlis ha'ikari shezacharna b'makomo. So all of these attributes that pertain to good and evil can be found in their place, in all of their aspects, everything associated with them, and all of these attributes of good and evil have all these possibilities to exist. He's going to explain that. When we find all of these ideas, so we have to have different situations that come out so that these ideas and these midos can be expressed. That they're all a test. That there's an opportunity for these aspects of evil to present themselves, and that a person should have the opportunity to cling to good. So we mentioned that there are good things, good midos, let's say, good traits and bad traits in the world. And we mentioned that human beings are put here in the world between good and evil, and their job is, human being is supposed to choose good. So that means they have to be placed in situations where there is an option to do evil, and in that situation they choose to do good. Derech mashal, for example, if there weren't wealthy people and poor people, a person wouldn't have a chance to be merciful and not cruel. If we were all created the same, and we were all healthy, and we were all wealthy, then you would never have an opportunity, and we had everything we needed, then we would never have an opportunity to give charity, to be sensitive, to be merciful to others, or any mitzvah like that. So therefore, Hashem had to create wealthy people and poor people, healthy people and sick people, so that there's an opportunity for human beings to be tested. Well, there's a poor person here that needs money. He can't afford food. He just lost his job because of COVID. Am I going to help him, or am I going to use the money to buy some more food for myself, or go on a vacation, or something like that? Am I going to be cruel to him, or am I going to be sensitive to him? And when I give him the money, am I going to do it like he's annoying me, so I'm just going to give it to him in a very undignified, cruel fashion, or am I going to give it to him very sensitively? So it had to be that human beings, some humans, were placed in this situation so that a person, we could have that choice whether we're going to be cruel or merciful. But also, now, it's not just, people often think if they had a choice to be rich or poor, for sure they would be rich. But the Ramchal says that there are also pitfalls of being rich. Now, is the rich person, he has a test that the poor person doesn't have. Is he going to be cruel to the pauper? When the pauper knocks on the door to ask for money, is the rich person going to be a jerk, or is he going to give him money? But the poor person, no one's asking him for money, so he doesn't have that test. So when it comes to spirituality, there's a test in the spiritual realm that the rich person has that the poor person does not have. Now, however, the poor person has a test that the rich person doesn't have. Will the poor person say, I understand that God provides, and I have trust in him that'll give me what I need, and he's going to be happy with his portion? Or in the opposite, is he going to complain to Hashem, and is he going to blame God for all of his problems? That's a test that the rich person doesn't have, because he has all of his physical needs. Is he going to be is he going to be like Tevye, in Fiddler on the Roof, singing a song, complaining to God that he's poor? Or is he going to say, no, this is what God chose for me, and he's going to be happy with what he has, and he'll be a happier person for it? That's a test the poor person has. Or another test for a rich person. Is he going to be arrogant? Rich people, it's very easy for them to think, well, I have everything I need. I don't need God. They find that there's certain religions in the Western world, they are becoming much less popular, whereas in the third world countries they are popular, because they found that when the immigrants came to the United States, these religions were very popular because they were poor. And as they became more affluent in the country, they started dropping off because people were only going to these religions because they were poor and they wanted God. But when they became wealthy, they said, I don't need God. I trust in myself. I have everything I need. What do I need God for? That's a very big test for a wealthy person. Or is a rich person going to abandon service of Hashem and just spend his whole day spending money to enhance his pleasures. V'im im kol asher ye'ana v'nichna, and he's very wealthy. Will he be humble? It's very difficult for a very wealthy person to be humble. Everyone is always, praising them because they think if you're nice to a rich person, maybe some of that money will shed onto you. And he has a test. Is he going to, this rich person, is he going to love Hashem and go after Avodas Hashem and serve God? Or is he just going to be involved in physical pleasures, right? We had the famous Gemara about Rebbe. Reb Yehuda Hanassi was one of the most wealthy people of his day. He wrote the Mishnah, and when he died, he was about to pass away on his deathbed. He lifted his 10 fingers and he said, I was a pinky. I didn't even gain benefit from this world from a pinky, because even though he was tremendously wealthy, he only used his wealth to serve Hashem. He didn't use his wealth at all to enhance his own physical pleasures in this world. So Hashem wanted mankind to be faced with many different challenges, so therefore he created many different situations that a person could find himself in, so he has these different challenges. And each human being has different challenges and nisyonos that another human being doesn't have. And the reason is because we each have to praise Hashem and sanctify Hashem in our own unique way. Now, why did person A was born rich and healthy and person B poor and sickly? That we don't know. And that's part of the test, is that we don't know why we were put in these specific situations. If anyone has any questions or comments, more than happy to answer that. If you're shy, you can text me or you can email me later. No pressure. Sorry again about the technical difficulties at the beginning, and thank you all for coming. Hope to see you again. Have a good night.